Sri Satchidanand Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Chapter 14. In the last chapter, we describe how Baba's words and grace cured many incurable diseases. Now we shall describe how Baba blessed Mr. Ratanji Wadia and gave him an issue. The life of his saint is naturally sweet. His various doings, eatings, walking, and his natural sayings are also sweet. His life is bliss incarnate. Sai gave bliss to his devotees as a means of remembrance. He gave them various stories of duty and action, which ultimately led them to true religion. His object may be that people should live happily in this world, but they should never be ever cautious and achieve the objects of their life, namely self-realization. We get human body as a result of merits in past births, and it is worthwhile that with his aid we should attain devotion and liberation in this life. So we should never be lazy, but always be on the alert to gain our goal of life. If you hear the Leelas of Sai daily, you will always see him. Day and night you will remember him in your mind. When you assimilate Sai in this way, your mind will lose its fickleness, and if you go on this manner, it will finally be merged on pure consciousness. Ratanji of Nandat. Now let us come to the main story of this chapter. If Nandat, in the Nizam state, there lived a Parsi mill contractor and trader by name Ratanji Saburaji Wadia. He was amassed a large amount of money and has acquired fields and lands. He had cattle, horses, and conveyance and was very prosperous. In all outward appearances, he looked very happy and contented, but inwardly he was not so. Providential dispensation in such that no one in this world is completely happy, and rich Ratanji was no exception to this. He was liberal and charitable, gave food and clothing to the poor, and helped all in various ways. The people took him to be a good and happy man, but Ratanji thought himself miserable as he had no issue, male or female, for a long time, just as Kirtan, singing glories of the Lord without love or devotion, song without rhythmical accompaniment, Brahmin without the sacred thread, proficiency in all arts without common sense, pilgrimage without repentance, and ornamentation without a necklace are futile and useless. So is a householder without an issue. Ratanji always brooded on this matter and said in his mind, would God be ever pleased to grant me a son? He thus looked morose and did not relish his food. Day and night he was enveloped with anxiety as to whether he would ever be blessed with a son. He had a great regard for Dasgani Maharaj. He saw him and opened his heart before him. Dasgani advised him to go to Shirdi, take Baba's darshan, fall at his feet and seek his blessings and pray for an issue. Ratanji liked the idea and decided to go to Shirdi. After some days, he went to Shirdi, took Baba's darshan and fell at his feet. Then opening a basket, he took out a beautiful garland of flowers and placed it around Baba's neck and offered him a basket of fruits. With reverence, he then sat near Baba and prayed to him, saying, many persons who find themselves in difficult situations come to you and you relieve them immediately. Hearing this, I have anxiously sought your feet. Please do not disappoint me. Sai Baba then asked him for dakshina of rupees 5, which Ratanji intended to give, but added that he had already received rupees 3 and 14 from him and that he should pay the balance only. Hearing this, Ratanji was rather puzzled. He could not make out as to what Baba meant. That was the first time he thought that he had come to Shirdi, and how was it? Baba said that he had earlier got rupees 3 and 14 from him. He could not solve the riddle, but he sat at Baba's feet and gave the balance of the dakshina asked for, explained to Baba fully as to why he came and sought his help, and prayed that Baba should bless him with a son. Baba was moved and told him not to worry, and that thence onward his bad days had ended. He then gave him Udi, placed his hand on his head, and blessed him, saying that Allah would satisfy his heart's content. Then, after taking Baba's leave, Ratanji returned to Nandat and told Dasganu everything that took place at Shirdi. He said that everything went on well there, that he got Baba's darshan and blessings with prasad, but there was one thing which he could not understand. Baba said to him that he had got rupees 3 to 14. Please explain as to what Baba meant by this remark. He said to Dasganu, I never went to Shirdi before, and how could I give him the sum to which Baba referred? To Dasganu too, it was a puzzle, and he thought much over it for a long time. Sometime afterwards, it struck him that Ratanji has received some days ago a Mohammedan saint by name Mauli Sahib in his house and had spent some money for his reception. This Mauli Sahib was a well-known saint of Nanded and worked as a porter. When Ratanji decided to go to Shirdi, this Mauli Sahib turned up at Ratanji's house. Ratanji knew him and loved him, so he gave a small party in his honor. Dasganu got from Ratanji the memo of expenses of this reception, and everybody was wonderstruck to see that the expenses amounted to exactly 3 to 14, nothing more, nothing less. They all came to know that Baba was omniscient, that though he lived in Shirdi, he knew what happened outside, far away from Shirdi. In fact, he knew the past, present, and future and could identify himself with anybody. In this particular instance, how could he know the reception given to Mauli Sahib and the amount spent thereon unless he could identify himself with him and be one with him. Ratanji was satisfied with this explanation, and his faith in Baba was confirmed and increased. In due time, he was blessed with a son, and his joy knew no bounds. It is said that he had in all a dozen issues, out of which only four survived. In a footnote towards the end of this chapter, it is stated that Baba told Rao Bahadur Hari Vinayak Sade after the death of his first wife to remarry, and that he would get a son. R.B. Sade married second time. The first two issues by his wife were daughters and therefore felt very despondent. But the third issue was a son. Baba's word did come true, and he was satisfied. Dakshina. Now we shall close this chapter with a few points about Dakshina. It's a well-known fact that Baba always asked for Dakshina from people who went to see him. Somebody may ask a question: if Baba was a fakir and perfectly non-attached, why should he ask for Dakshina and care for money? We shall consider this question broadly now. First, for a long time, Baba did not take anything. He stored burned matches and fulfilled his pockets with his. He never asked anybody for anything, whether he be a devotee or otherwise. If anybody placed before him a paisa or two, he purchased oil or tobacco. He was fond of tobacco, for he always smoked a bidi or chilim. Then some persons thought that they should not go to saints empty hands, and therefore placed some copper coins before them. If a paisa was placed before him, he used to pocket it. If it was a 2 paisa coin, it was returned immediately. Then, after Baba's fame has spread far away and wide, people began to flock in numbers, and Baba began to ask Dakshina from them. It is said that in Shruti, that puja of the gods is not complete unless a gold coin was offered. If a coin is necessary in the puja of the gods, why should it be so in the puja of the saints also? Ultimately, the Shastras laid it down that when one goes to see God, king, saint, or guru, he should not go empty handed. He should offer something, preferably money. In this connection, we may notice that the precepts recommended by the Upanishads. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says that the Lord Prajapati advised the gods, men, and demons by one letter, Da. The gods understood by this letter that they should practice Dhamma, that is self control, and the men thought or understood that they should practice Dana, charity. The demons understood that they should practice Daya, compassion. To men, charity or giving was recommended. The teacher in the Taittiriya Upanishad exhorts his pupils to practice charity and other virtues. Regarding charity, he says, give with faith or even without it, give it with magnanimity, in that is liberally, give them with modesty, awe, and sympathy, in order to teach the devotees the lesson of charity and to remove their attachment to money, and thus to purify their minds. Baba extracted Dakshina from them, but there was this peculiarity, as Baba said, that he has to give back 100 times more of what he received. There are many instances in which this was happened. To quote an instance, Mr. Ganpatrao Bodas, the famous actor, says in his Marathi autobiography that on Baba's pressing him often for Dakshina, he emptied his money bag before him. The result of this was, as Mr. Bodas says, that in later life he never lacked money, as it came to him abundantly. There was also secondary meanings of Dakshina in many cases in which Baba did not want any peculiar amount. To quote two instances, Baba asked rupees 15 as Dakshina from Professor G.G. Narke, who replied that he did not have any money. Then Baba said, I know you have no money, but you are reading Yoga Vashishta. Give me Dakshina from that. Giving Dakshina in this case meant deriving lessons from the book and lodging them in the heart where Baba resides. In the second case, Baba asked a certain lady, Tarka, to give rupees 6 as Dakshina. The lady felt pained as she had nothing to give. Then her husband explained to her that Baba wanted 6 inner enemies, lust, anger, avarice, etc., to be surrendered to him. Baba agreed with this explanation. It is to be denoted that Baba collected a lot of money by Dakshina. He would distribute the whole amount the same day, and the next morning he would become a poor fakir as usual. When Baba took his Mahasamadhi, even after receiving thousands and thousands of rupees as Dakshina, for about 10 years he had only a few rupees in his possession. In short, Baba's main object in taking Dakshina from his devotees was to teach them the lessons of renunciation and purification. Postscript. Mr. B.V. Dev of Thana, retired Mamlatar and a great devotee of Baba, was written an article in this subject in Sri Sai Leela magazine, volume 2, p. 626, in its says as follows. Baba did not ask Dakshina of all. If some gave Dakshina unasked, he sometimes accepted it, and if others times refused it. He asked it of certain devotees only. He never demanded it from those devotees who thought in their minds that Baba should ask for it and then they should pay it. If anybody offered it against his wish. He never touched it, and if he kept it there, he asked him to take it away. He asked for small or big amounts from devotees according to their wish, devotion, and convenience. He asked it even of women and children. He never asked of all the rich for it nor all the poor. Baba never got angry with those whom he asked dakshina and who did not give it. If any dakshina was sent through some friend who forgot to hand over the same to Baba, he reminded him of it and made him pay it. On some occasions, Baba used to turn some for the amount tendered as dakshina and ask the donor to guard or to keep in his shrine for worship. This procedure benefited the donor or devotee immensely. If anybody offered more than is originally intended to give, he returned the extra amount. Sometimes he asked of some more dakshina than what they originally intended to give, and if they had no money, asked them to beg or borrow from others of some. He demanded dakshina 3 or 4 times a day. Out of the amount collected as dakshina, Baba spent very little for his own sake, namely for buying chilim, smoking pipe, and fuel for his Duni sacred fire, and all the rest he distributed as charity in varying proportions to various persons. All the paraphernalia in the Shirdi Sansan was brought by various rich devotees at the instance and suggestions of Radhakrishna Mai. Baba always used to get wild and scolded those who brought any costly and rich articles. He said to Mr. Nanasaheb Chandrakul that all his property consisted of one cowpin, cord piece, one stray piece of cloth, one kaffini, and a tin pot, and that all the people troubled him with bringing all these unnecessary costly articles. Woman and wealth are the two main obstacles in the way of our Paramatma, spiritual life. And Baba has provided in Shirdi two institutions, namely Dakshina and Radhakrishna Mai, for whenever they came to him, he demanded Dakshina from them and asked them to go to the school, Radhakrishna Mai's house. If they stood their two tests well, that is, if they showed that they were free from attachment for woman and wealth, their progress spiritually was rapid and assured by Baba's grace and blessings. Mr. Dev has also quoted passages from the Gita and Upanishads and show that charity given in a holy place or to a holy personage conduces to the donor's welfare. What is the more holy than Shirdi and its presiding deity Sai Baba? Both to Sri Sai. Both peace be to all. श्री सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय।